Okay, today's lesson, fireplaces. This is the biggest fireplace. It used to be a kitchen 200 years ago. And it's the fireplace you're most likely to use. Let me give you a couple quick pointers on it. Fireplaces generally have what they call a damper, which is a door that goes to the flue, so the smoke, if you don't open the damper, the smoke fills up the house very quickly. This one used to have a wood stove, which is why it had that hole that we've sealed shut. But one of the things it doesn't have is a handle to prop open the damper, which would normally go right over here. So what I use is this piece of pipe. It's not that elegant, but it works. So what you do, and this is easier to do with two hands, but I can't right now. What you do is you push open that. You push open the damper and you prop it open with that. So, and then when the fire is out and when the coals have all burned out, usually it takes a day just to be safe. Actually, it takes less, but what you don't want is to seal it up and have a bunch of smoke fill the house. Anyway, when you're ready to close it up again, you just pull it out. Put it in. All right. A couple other quick things. When you shovel out your ashes, sometimes you can use coals. While they're still a little hot, I still recommend that they be wait till they cool off and go out. But when you're done with those, you can use this ash can to put them in, and then you can dispose of those, dump them outside. You can dump them over the bank out there, or you can put them on where we usually put them is the fire. We have a compost pile behind the garden, and you can put them in there, and ashes are good for planting. Now this is a wood caddy, which basically you load your wood in, you go out and get it, which actually the firewood is kept on the other side of this, outside. And this is just for storing some of it. This used to be the bread oven years ago, and we've never cooked bread in it. But we store some things in it. There's some paper in there we use for starting the fires. But here's the most important thing that I cheat with, which is these are wood starters, log starters. Basically, you break them up into some pieces. You don't need a lot. You don't even need this much, but you break them up and spread them on maybe a log that you put under there, and then put some logs above it. That's a good starter for your fires. Okay, there are two additional fireplaces. Here's the dining room fireplace, which we almost never use. We've been here 20 years, and I think we've used it 2 or 3 times. The main reason is, well, there's a bunch of different reasons often that you might have it for a dinner party, but it's kind of a pain. You see this is where the damper would go, but it doesn't have one. And this is rigid insulation. It's light, soft, and I put these on to weigh them down. So if you do want to have a fire in here, you need to take these out altogether. And you can do it that way. But like I said, it's a very rare occurrence. It's mostly for show when we have a dinner party. Okay, and then The third and last fireplace is here in the TV room. This is actually a more recently built fireplace, and it's quite easy to use. It has both a damper, which you can't see very well, and where is it? Oh yes, here it is, actually right in the middle. You can slide the door open, and you can bring it down. So, that's it on fireplaces. We're in the kitchen now, so I can explain the heating here and the basements as well. The kitchen has radiators, and so does the upstairs. That's Sammy the cat. And the rest of the house has radiant heat. The kitchen tends to is the coldest just because it's exposed, and that's usually the door you go in and out of. So in addition to the radiators, I have this electrical one, portable one, which you can use to supplement if it's really cold in here. That'll heat up. Between that and the radiators, the kitchen will heat up pretty quickly. Now out in the rest of the house on the main floor, under these floors is radiant heat. Both here in the dining room and the living room. Now, in the living room, we have a thermostat, which you can set when you get in at a higher temperature, and when you leave, you might want to set it down. I wouldn't go much lower than 50 or 55. Don't go any lower than 50, because it'll take a long time to come back. Let me show you the thermostat that controls the kitchen and the upstairs. It's over there, and usually that's what we turn up as soon as we get up here for the weekend. And the good thing about radiator heat is it comes on very quickly. Radiant heat takes a little longer. You'll find the next day is when it's, well, you're not freezing at night, but it's not till the next day that it's up at the temperature you might want it. So this is the thermostat for the dining room, the individual thermostat. But this here is the heater. This controls the boiler and the general heating for the house. This is not something you want to adjust. Certainly don't want to adjust this, because this just keeps it in this range, and you can individually taper it to rooms with this. You don't want to turn this up and down. What you do want to use is this is the automatic button. That should be on most of the time, and since it's daytime, it'll say automatic and daytime. At night, there's a setback, so it goes down just a little bit, and I think it also stops producing hot water, although even when it's on nighttime setback, hot water is there for a week or more. So when you leave on Sunday night or whenever, press this, and that cools the house or keeps it at a cooler rate, so you're not spending so much on burning oil when you don't need it. Then when you get back, you can either set it on automatic, and since it's day, it'll go on. Or if you really want to do the warmth, want it to heat up without setting back at all, you can just press day and it'll stay that way. Usually automatic is fine, and that's the most efficient. So the other thermostat in the TV room is right here. Now I want to show you where the boiler is, though. That is in the basement. And the basement's a mess. You don't want to go down there unless you absolutely have to. So, but just to give you a quick look at the boiler, this is not something you are going to mess with. But if you have someone here who doesn't know, someone who needs to service it and is somebody we haven't used and doesn't know where it is, this is it. It's got controls, a computer control up top, which again, you don't need to know anything about, but just so you know, it's down here. There's also a freezer, fridge. We keep some things in there, like some bee things. So unless you are having some big dinner party and you need to put a turkey or something in there, most of the time you're not going to need that at all. Just one other thing, that basement is a finished basement, and that's the newer part of the house. The old part of the house has a dirt floor basement, and right here by the coat, where the coats hang, we usually put coats hanging right up over the door itself just to cover it. But here is the original basement. It's not a place you want to spend any time. I just want to show you one thing. That is the oil tank. And if you're set up, which you should be, with Taylor Oil with automatic payments, they will come here periodically and they will fill it up. That right there shows it's about halfway full. You don't need to come down here and check on it unless you get up here and it's really cold and you can't figure out why. That'll tell you right off the bat whether it's run out of oil, in which case you need to call Taylor Oil and have them give you a quick emergency fill up. Just so you know, while we're down here, that is the circuit box for the house. So if you have an electrical problem, that may well be where someone, hopefully not you, needs to go. All right, an ugly dirt floor basement, which hopefully you'll never have to see. That through there, you see the light coming, that's the modern finished basement where we were before. End of lesson. Quick note about windows. We replaced all the windows, which were probably put in the 60s, with these period windows, custom made. Essentially 18th century technology, which has its drawbacks. It looks great, but it's very primitive, so it's less efficient. This is what it looks like in the summer. You can open them with some difficulty. We have screens in the basement, which you basically stick in there and you prop the thing open with a piece of wood. But most of the time in the winter, you won't need to do that because it's too cold to open the windows. In which case, this is what we have. This is an interior storm. So in the spring, we open these up, remove these windows, We removed the storm windows and then we put screens in. So you won't need to do that. This one is missing the storm right now. I'm having the glass replaced and that should be back in there. There are a few windows left over from the way it used to be, and here they are. They're not as nice looking, but they are more efficient. They're standard. They've got sash, counterweights, storm windows. So hopefully you won't have to open anything. There are a few windows that you can open relatively easily upstairs in bedrooms, and you can at least prop open so you can get some air. Outbuildings. We own the buildings on both sides of the road, including those across the road there. There's a horse barn on the left, and there's a building we call the goat house because a long time ago it used to have goats, and it's basically a large open space that we have rented out in the past, most recently to a couple who had an art studio in there. It's now closed up, the pipes are drained, the heat is off. We use it mostly for storage. I have some of my bee equipment in there. Speaking of which, over here is my hive. There's no reason to mess with that, obviously, but not summer, but on warmer days, usually in the spring, you will sometimes see bees buzzing around, coming in and out of the entrance. They're not doing it now because it's just too damn cold. So that will sit there all winter until things start to warm up. This over here is our garden shed. There's no reason you would want to go in there. It's loaded with junk anyway. But here, there's the garden. Beyond it, you'll see there's a chicken coop, we don't have any more chickens, so we just store some things in that. But the big one is the barn, which is a very, very special building. And I'm not going to encourage a lot of use out here because it's a special building, and I moved it here, and I worry about it being harmed, damaged, destroyed, whatever. So I have some rules if you want to use it. First of all, this is the only entrance you can get in from the outside. We have a padlock here. You will find the key. You will find the key hanging by the back door. Now here's a very important thing to know about the barn. When you open any doors, you have to latch them open, because if you don't, here's a hook. Here's the eye. Put it. If you don't keep these open with a hook or closed by a hook inside, the wind can get a hold of them and blow them right off their hinges. And that's not only damaging to the barn, it's like a flying weapon, and it can hurt people badly. Okay, here is the electrical panel. The only switch you would have to turn on is this master switch. Pretty impressive structure. All right, so all these doors open. Most of them, if you do use it, I would say keep closed, because it's just less to go wrong, but more importantly, it's going to be cold. But I will show you how to open one of these big doors. I'll use my foot here to take the hook off. And like the other one, there's a hook here. And you will hook it open. There's a ping pong table over here. You'll find paddles and balls in there. I don't know what kind of shape the net is in, but you can pull that out to the middle of the floor if you like. This is furniture for the summertime. Got our mower over there. And so all I would ask is, if you want to have some friends over and you want to show them the barn or hang out in the barn, or I may ask you if someone visits and would like to look at the barn because they're thinking of getting married in it, if you wouldn't mind giving them a quick tour, I'd appreciate it. But if you do have friends over, or even if it's just you, the rules are no smoking, no open flame at all, so no candles and no heaters, because barns like this, all barns are very flammable, especially when they have a lot of hay in them, as this one does. So I would ask you to abide by that. That would be the biggest tragedy I can imagine. Save someone dying to have this incredible structure burned down. All right, that's the rules. Enjoy.